people were more than their circumstances. I learned that there are things set up hoping that you fail, but that there are also protective factors that can be put in place that can prevent you from kind of going down the wrong path. From where I came from, I could have turned out completely different. But I had a lot of professors that invested in me significantly. Even I would say doing their own forms of social work when I was struggling, and they, pointed me to resources or helped me get in touch with certain agencies, and just like really believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And so like my social work education taught me all about like community, advocacy, seeing people for them and not necessarily what they're going through. Seeing the humanity in people. Honestly, I think what makes me the proudest is the things that I've accomplished. I did not see myself being where I am today. I think everyone else around me believed in me a lot more than I believed in myself.
Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to The Real with Dr. Wendi, where we have real talk, real tools, and real change. I am your host, Dr. Wendi Watson. So glad that you are here. We have a very, very special guest this evening, and I want to introduce all of you to Miss Simone Moore. Miss Simone, how are you?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. So, our topic today is from student to scholar to servant, the power of giving back. So, Miss Simone is just going to share a little bit of her personal journey, a student at NCCU in their master's program. As a social work major, she's graduated, but also the decision to pursue law, advocacy, education, and giving back. And so, Miss Simone,
Yes.
take us back to when you were a student at NCCU.
Yes.
And if you want to go further back, because I know you did your master's at NCCU, but you did your undergrad degree somewhere else.
Yes. So I got my bachelor's in rehabilitation studies, and I got it from Winston-Salem State. And in my senior year, because initially when I got to Winston-Salem State, I thought I wanted to do nursing because I've always known that I wanted to help people. And that was just like the most accessible job at the time that I knew of. I think people are exposed to jobs like in their environments. And so that's what I knew to do. But in my senior year, I did an internship, actually under you, Dr. Watson, at Empowered Citizens. And
Yeah.
one, I was like amazed by you. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be just like you. And then two, I was like, I really enjoy the work. Like, I can see myself doing this. And before that, I didn't know much about social work. Um, and so I was like, wow, I think I like this. And so I applied to the social work program at Central because I heard wonderful things from everyone. And I'm very big on going to HBCUs. So I was like, okay, this is where I want to go. And it was challenging to say the least. I think when I got my master's, that was the first time that I actually felt challenged in school. And it was the first time I didn't feel like the smartest in the room. So I was like, hold on, what's going on here? And so I had to really put in the work. I had to study for the first time. I really got into research, sharpen my skills. And just what I learned and from like speaking with my professors, I was kind of able to give a narrative to the experience that I had already been, going through, and learning that the things that I had gone through, they weren't like individual failures. Like it was systematically set up. And so I was like, okay, that's when I started going really hard, trying to figure out what my passion was. I learned I loved to advocate. I loved serving other people, connecting them to resources that I had been connected to when I was going through my own personal struggles. And then, after graduating, I went And I started working in the psych hospital and like learned about the IVC process. And that's when I first started looking into legal because I was like, hold on, I don't quite agree with everything, that was going on here. And I wanted to like advocate some more. And then like I went to an emergency room afterwards and I learned more about like CPS and APS and like forensic social work in general. And now I'm like at a law firm and I work under an attorney for people who were wrongfully convicted and she gets them exonerated and then I get them reentered into society. And so going there and working around these people and learning these new things, I realized that I love social work and pursuing law is really just an extension of it. I'm using some different tools.
That is wonderful. I am so excited for you, what you are learning, the fact that you're interested in pursuing law, and how you are using those social work skills, competencies to just kind of bridge um, between social work and the law.
Yeah,
How you're advocating for those individuals that were wrongly incarcerated
yeah,
and helping them return back to society. I
absolutely.
think that is wonderful, wonderful. So, what do you think your social work education taught you about people, communities, and how to advocate?
I would say the first thing, and I mean, I should have known this from experience, but like I said, Central gave me like the narrative that I needed to kind of explain my circumstances. But I learned that people were more than their circumstances. Um, I learned that there are things set up hoping that you fail, but that there are also protective factors that can be put in place that can prevent you from kind of going down the wrong path. Like from where I came from, I could have turned out completely different. But I had a lot of professors that invested in me significantly. Even I would say doing their own forms of social work when I was struggling and they, pointed me to resources or helped me get in touch with certain agencies and just like really believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And so like my social work education taught me all about like community advocacy, um, seeing people for them and not necessarily what they're going through, seeing the humanity in people. I also had to learn about autonomy because I tend to want people to just do what I think is best, but people
Yeah.
do have the right to make their own decisions, and my job is to help them do it safely in the best way possible.
Absolutely. What do you think are some similarities that you see between social workers and attorneys?
So working around attorneys all day long, I notice a lot of similarities. We're very headstrong, and we will really go to bat for our clients. We will really bend ourselves in certain ways to make sure that our clients are needs are met. A lot of critical thinking skills for sure.
Okay, so Miss Simone, you just mentioned about you were talking about the similarities between attorneys and social workers
Mhm.
and
Yes.
how attorneys just kind of advocate just as hard for their clients
Mhm.
just like social workers.
Yes, absolutely. I notice with attorneys and social workers alike, we both will go to bat about our clients. We will kind of bend ourselves into whatever we got to be to help our client to get through whatever they're going through at that time. I think both attorneys and social worker requires a lot of critical thinking skills. We are battling systems that have been in place for years, and we have to find the best way for the client to navigate it, as safely and in the best way possible. Not only that, I think both social work, and this is something I actually didn't know about social work before I got into it, but both social work and law require a lot of research. I feel like every day, all day, I'm Googling what something is and trying to get like a really good understanding. So I would say those are the most common similarities I see between the two.
And not to mention, with social work, we have the different level of systems. So the micro,
Yes.
meso, macro system. And so with law, you're looking at laws and policies. And
Yes.
so having to become familiar with those laws. So it's more on a macro level. And
For sure.
so how do you think you're doing with that? And how do you think that Just how do you think your experience and knowledge and skills as a social worker just helps you with that?
Yeah, of course. So I think for one, like as a social worker, we don't really give up. Like we don't really have the option to give up. We got to figure this out. And so working in these systems where I'm introduced to new policies and laws and understanding how the legal system works, which is way
Mhm.
different than how a lot of other systems work. Just kind of learning. It's been a little bit of a shock because I'm like, whoa, this is a lot of new information at once. But also, it's been a wonderful experience because, as a social worker, we're taught to persevere and be resilient. So like just kind of pushing through for the best outcome.
But in terms of the laws and that macro level practice, you
Hmm.
learned in social work how the laws influence the individual.
Yes.
And so it helps you understand the individual that you're working with because you know how these laws impact them. You know
Mhm.
that there are some injustices. Like you said, you're working with individuals who were wrongly incarcerated.
Yeah.
And so we see a lot of that, or the system isn't equal.
Right.
And so knowing that, will help advocate for the individuals that you're working with.
Absolutely. As well as on like a micro level, I'm dealing with these people very personally, helping them, get housing, transportation,
Yeah,
employment. These people, a lot of times before they were exonerated, they served years. They lost years of their life
yeah,
before being released. 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, a lot of time has been served before they were released. So smartphones have come out. They don't know how to use smartphones. Um,
yeah,
Online banking apps, they were not there 30 years ago. Just a lot of new technology that they're not used to, learning how to manage money, learning how to interview again, writing a resume, things of that sort. So just kind of helping them get back into the swing of it. I think my previous experience has helped me a lot, especially in the emergency department, doing a lot of case management and getting connected
yeah.
to resources, learning what's out there. Some places will pay for your energy. Some insurances will provide you transportation to your medical appointments, and some, depending on what insurance you have, will even take you to your job. So like learning how to use my social work skills to network and get resources and help connect my clients to whatever their needs are.
Absolutely. I was thinking when you mentioned some of the um, needs that these individuals need,
Mhm.
or some of the resources that they need, I thought about case management and, how you learned that in social work or your previous positions and how that will help you work with the individuals that you're currently working with.
100%.
Yeah, wonderful. I interviewed someone earlier today, and he mentioned that, at one time he was homeless and he now has his
Mhm.
doctorate degree.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, and so he mentioned about Campbell University, which they have a law program where they expunge individuals'
Hmm.
records, criminal records. And so, are you working with any individuals? Because you mentioned that they are exonerated,
Hmm.
which means that they're being released from
Yes.
from prison.
Yes. And so that means once they're exonerated, it means like they have been literally exonerated from the crime. Like they're not guilty. They can't be retried from it. They need to be released. Well, I mean, the system does what they want to do, but you're supposed to be released right away.
Gotcha.
Yeah, at the organization I work at, we only work on exonerations for people who say that they're completely innocent of the crime. They could not have been involved in the crime in any way at all. This is someone who's completely wrongfully convicted.
So, how does one get in contact with the organization? If somebody is in, and I'm assuming that they get in contact with them while they are incarcerated.
Yes, yes. So you can contact the organization via mail, email, phone call. You don't have to contact directly. A lot of people have like their parents call in or like their friends call in and say, "Hey, I know this person. This is what happened. Can you help?"
And how long does it typically take? What's the process and how long does it typically take to get someone exonerated? I mean,
So
I'm
yeah,
assuming that there is a whole investigation.
yeah. There's multiple levels to it, but it can take years. Ideally, you'd want it to take less than that, but the judge would have to decide like, do they want to do a retrial or completely exonerate them? Um, is there enough evidence? You have to get in contact with people who were in the last case. Are there co-defendants? If there's co-defendants, it's especially long. And then sometimes they can rule for you to be exonerated, but the state can appeal it. And while they're fighting that appeal process, even though you were ruled to be exonerated, you have to stay.
Wow. So, if there was somebody that was a family member that was watching this episode and they had, a family member that was incarcerated wrongfully, how
Mhm.
could they reach out? You know, would you share the information?
Oh, absolutely.
Could you share the information?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Why don't you share that information maybe at the end before
Okay.
we end sharing that information with someone who may see this episode and has a family member that again is wrongfully incarcerated that could use the help of the attorney. Now, how many
Absolutely.
attorneys do you all have there?
We have four attorneys, so it's a small firm.
I mean, 4 is pretty good. I
Yeah,
would
but
think
we
1.
we do. So the one is one of the attorneys. She's the executive director. This was like her passion project for the first several years. She was completely funding it herself and kind of just doing it by herself, just based off the passion. And so there's four total attorneys, and then there's me, the social worker, it's a case analyst, a private investigator, and then we'll have like interns that'll kind of help. But for the most part, it's like a small nonprofit law firm specifically focused on that one cause. And they don't the inmates, the people incarcerated, the family members, none of them, they don't have to pay for it.
Really? So where
Mhm.
does the funding come from?
Grants, uh,
Oh, gotcha.
self like from the income from the law firm itself.
I would love to, somehow collaborate, partner. Um, yeah. So we'll talk about that. So
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing that. Now, in terms of giving back, you've
Mhm.
chosen to provide a scholarship for students. And so tell
Yes.
us a little bit more about that. And what inspired your decision to do that?
Yes. So I decided to create the More Community Impact Scholarship, because I remember as a grad student, I felt like there weren't many scholarships that were geared to grad students, and that was scholarship. One of the things that I decided what to put was graduate students preferred, because I felt like when I was an undergrad, there was a lot more options for me. And
Mhm.
I didn't really understand that because as a grad student, I feel like I was dealing with more life than I was in undergrad, and I needed the financial support significantly more. And I noticed that at one point in my studies, when finances got really, really tight, it was hard for me to concentrate on like my coursework, and be a present student. And I wanted to try to help avoid that as much as possible with another student.
Wow. Right. So your own personal experience just inspired you to help someone else.
Absolutely. And I feel like at Central, it was kind of instilled in us to always give back and, do service. And I always saw everyone around me like just wanting to do the most that they can for their community. And I was like, I am in a place where I'm blessed and I'm not hurting. And I feel like when you're in that place, you should give back. You should feed into others so that they can get to where you are. And so I was like, okay, if I can help anyone out, even if it's just one person, I would like to do so.
Nice. And so what's the process? So if someone was, watching this, one of a graduate student from so is the scholarship just for MSW students at Central or anyone can apply?
So it is specifically for anyone attending an HBCU in North Carolina. Um,
Okay.
and those like okay, so it's specifically for those going to a HBCU, doesn't have to specifically be North Carolina, but wants to serve North Carolina communities. Um, and so
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of applicants from everywhere, including North Carolina, and just seeing all the HBCUs. That's been great. But generally, they would have the application is closed now. It closed at the end of July, but it was opened in March, I believe, and they would just do the application. There were some things that were optional, like they can talk about if they were having any financial concerns or any special circumstances that they felt should have been taken into consideration. But I didn't put, to me, it was important not to put a GPA limit because I feel like
Okay.
people's GPA doesn't always speak for their ability. When my GPA was at its lowest, I was able to get it up eventually. But when it was at its lowest, I was struggling really bad. Mental health, finances, family, um, physical health. And so I felt like the GPA doesn't speak for who the student is. And so there wasn't a GPA requirement.
Gotcha.
Mhm,
Okay. Um, so anyone who is attending an HBCU, now
mhm,
you mentioned that the application is closed. Now,
mhm.
do you think that you would do this again, or
Absolutely.
was this a one time?
Yes, my plan was to do this every year, but to increase as I go along. Right now, since it was self-funded, I only did one person and one scholarship. And as the time goes on, I would like to increase the scholarships and be able to also give smaller scholarships for other things like books and technology and things of that sort. And hopefully, maybe one day, fully fund someone's year.
Nice. Fully fund someone's year.
Yes.
Look at you. Now, I heard you briefly mention that again, what inspired this is your own personal experiences, and you
Mhm.
said that there was a time when you were in school where, it was challenging. You
Yep.
mentioned I think you just mentioned mental health. And
Mhm.
so, what were some challenges that you experienced, and how did you get through them? Because at the end of the day, you got your MSW degree.
Yes. So some of the challenges I dealt with were really a lot having to do with housing insecurity and financial instability. I did have a home, but it was very expensive for someone who was going to school and
Right.
working and having to do an unpaid internship. So it was a lot to juggle. And so I was struggling with that and having to cut expenses in other corners. So, less able to afford groceries. Thank God Central had a food pantry that
Yeah.
was actually in the social work building. Bless
Yeah.
it. So I was able to utilize the food pantry. The school offers free counseling, so I utilized the counseling because at the time I could not afford it, and I did not have a position that offered insurance, so I didn't have health insurance. Um, and so then also when I got sick, I got really sick, and I was in the hospital for a few weeks, and that
Yeah.
set me back significantly financially, and so it was just really, really tough. But I utilized the resources and the people in my community. What I could have done more is I should have, what I wish I would have done. I was able to make it through, but I wish I would have reached out to my professors and let them know what was going on because I was really struggling to show up as a student at certain points and I felt
Yeah.
bad. I didn't want them to think like I was a bad student, but no, I was really going through it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so y you mentioned, because we don't want to, um, convey that students won't have any challenges, right?
Right.
Because we as people in life have challenges.
Exactly.
Sometimes when we see the person on the other side, and how well they're doing, with
Mhm.
this job, working with an attorney, you're a social worker with your license, you're giving back, you're giving scholarships, you're doing all these wonderful things. You're traveling, and we'll get to that.
Yes.
Um, People may not see the struggle
Yeah.
that, or don't know the struggle that you experienced even while being in school. But I hear
Absolutely.
you're saying that you utilize the resources that were available. And
Mhm.
so sometimes the resources can be right there, but we don't use them.
Yeah. A lot of it is people don't know about it, I feel. But I think
Yeah,
my professors, they they knew to pass resources on and kind of educate us on what was out there and taught us how to find our own resources because we would need to do so for the clients. And so I was able to kind of navigate it maybe a little easier than someone else may have.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, yes, utilizing your resources, it's okay to reach out for help.
Absolutely.
And I heard you say, I talked to a counselor.
Hmm.
And that was a resource that was available to students, where they have access. You mentioned the food bank. And
Hmm.
so, not being ashamed to reach out for help. And that is some of the resources that you had access to helped you get through. But
Yes.
but also reaching out to your professors. I heard you say, I could have done a little more in that area, but,
Yeah.
at some point you did reach out to your professors.
Mhm.
That's very big because we want to see our students succeed. We want you to succeed, and if we can help in any way, we're okay with doing that.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely the message that we wanna convey if you're watching and you're in school and you're having some challenges, if you're not in school and you're having some challenges, there are resources in the community that individuals can reach out to, um, and if you don't know about resources, ask,
Mhm.
Google, in your area and find out those resources. Now, what legacy do you want to leave through your work? Because you're doing social work, you're doing law. What's the legacy that you want to leave behind in the work that you're doing?
Honestly, the legacy I want to leave behind is service. Um, I just want it to be service. Like I want to serve my community, inspire other people to serve, and so that way everyone benefits. As long as I have it, my community is gonna have it because I just really feel like serving your community and investing in your community is how you help it grow and how you help other people who come from similar backgrounds from me or others who've had different lives. Just how you help them make it past, what they're going through or help them assist going through what they're going through so that it's more easy to get through.
Yeah, that's good. Service,
Mhm.
getting out of ourselves and helping other people.
Yes.
And that helps us. Yeah, it helps me when I help other people.
It
I
sure does.
enjoy it. Yes. Now, when you look at your journey from NCCU social work student to pursuing law school and now giving back, what makes you the proudest?
Mm. Um, Honestly, I think what makes me the proudest is the things that I've accomplished. Did not see myself being where I am today. Um, I think everyone else around me believed in me a lot more than I believed in myself. And when you see people who believe in you so much, you want to work harder to, succeed. And if there wasn't people who believed in me, I genuinely would not, I wouldn't be where I was because I didn't believe in me. I didn't see myself doing much of anything.
All right. So, Miss Simone, when your career is all said and done, what do you hope people will say about the way you used your education, your profession, and your success to make a difference?
Oh, um, I hope people say that I use, my education and my experience and my success to make an impact on my community, create opportunity for others. And like, I previously said, just provide service. I hope that I inspire other people to give back, maybe do their own scholarships or just help in any way they can so that as we continue to go up, we can bring others along with us.
That's it.
Yeah.
I I am extremely proud. I am so proud of you. And I'm so happy that I got the opportunity to work with you. I got the opportunity to um you know, were you in any of my classes?
I took your program. Was it no? Was it program evaluation? No, it was the community something. It was one of them classes about creating grassroots. But I know you were my professor.
Communities or organizations.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and I believe that may have been online.
It that's not the point, Dr. Watson.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was your class.
Yes, yes. So I'm just so happy that we have kept in contact, that we have developed a relationship. I support you wholeheartedly in everything that you are doing, and I am extremely proud of you. I know that NCCU Social Work Department is extremely proud of you. Every time that I've reached out to you and asked you to come back, even with Phi Alpha, you without hesitation has done that. And so that's just a testament to how you love to serve. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you for, being flexible to this evening and being on this podcast. And I'm just so grateful that I had the opportunity to have you on this platform and share you with as many people around the world that is watching.
Thank you, Dr. Watson.
Yes, 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 honey. You have come a long way.
Yes. A very long way. Thank you for investing in me and believing in me, for sure.
Absolutely. So, again, thank you so much for being on the podcast.